You know, as I was talking about how we can connect digitally and virtually, and wouldn't you know it, that's when we lost our connection on Facebook Live, but we're back on. So the importance of connecting, and as I was saying, many of you, and there are quite a few families who live in Surrey Panorama and in Surrey and in other parts of the country who have had to delay their weddings. And some have had weddings with just very few guests, and the rest of the guests have been out on the street sitting in their cars. They've been very, very creative. So not only that, but you know, we've had births, and people have had a chance to celebrate those differently. We are learning to do so many things differently, and some of you have heard had some tragic losses. You've lost some loved ones in your family, and that's been very, very hard. Losing a loved one is always difficult, but to lose them during this challenging time when you can't even get together to grieve, not even with your own siblings, it makes it very, very difficult. So let me tell you that there are many pressures on each and every person, whether it's the fear of your job, losing a loved one, whether it's about missing people, missing your friends, missing your social circles. So be kind to yourself. There are services and helps available for mental health. Please phone, and if you're on my Facebook, you will get those messages all the time. And I also put out 3 or 4 messages a day on WhatsApp with some very useful information for you. So if you would like to join our WhatsApp family, please contact my office, and I'll give your information to Jen, and we'll make sure that you're added. Now, as I was saying, we're having to do things so differently, and it's all of us, from the Premier to your MLAs, your MPs, your healthcare professionals. All of us are doing things differently now, and folks, it's not over yet. I know there was a lot of excitement that we have the Restart BC plan, but as Dr. Henry said today, we are still in phase 1. We are still in phase 1. Let's keep taking those precautions. Let's absolutely flatten that curve and bring it down so that we can move on to the next stage. There are thousands and thousands of people who are waiting for surgeries, and we need to make sure they get them done. And every one of us can make sure that happens quickly when we follow the orders from Dr. Henry. And you know what? It's been amazing for me that Dr. Henry has become a household name. I think my great-granddaughter knows her name really well right now. And but her calmness is guiding us through this. And as she talks to us every day, she gives us information, but she also gives us some reassurances that this is the new normal for now, and we have lots more to do, and that we have to love and care for each other and support each other. So we have another question that is just coming in, and it is about the rent subsidy. I would say if we get lots and lots of phone calls about this, about any issue, it has been about the rent subsidy. And let me make it very, very clear. The Premier has said this. Every official has said this. You have to pay your rent. If your work life hasn't changed, if you're still working, you've got an income coming in, then you need to be paying your rent. If you are struggling with paying your rent, there is a rent subsidy available to a couple up to $300. And if you have dependents, then it's $500. And that is okay. And that rental subsidy isn't per person, that is per unit. You apply, and you can go to the BC COVID-19 site and apply there. And once you apply, the money actually goes to the landlord and does not go to the tenant. And I know some of the landlords are saying that some tenants who are still working full-time are not paying the rent because they think they don't have to. Let me assure you, we all have to pay our rent. The landlords have to pay their mortgages, and they have their bills as well. So please pay your rent and apply for the rental subsidy if you qualify. And I can assure the landlords that at no time is government saying to anybody they do not have to pay their rent. Now during this time, because we want to stop the spread of COVID-19, there are no evictions. There are no evictions. And I'm also sort of saying that these are times when people are struggling financially and emotionally. So let's be kind to each other as well, landlords and tenants as well. But if you're still struggling and are having difficulties, please feel free to phone my office and we will guide you through processes that you need to go through. Now we have another question coming in. Why is it that if I'm not receiving the BC $1,000 emergency benefit? Well, first of all, let me tell you, at the speed at which the federal government moved to provide supports has been quite impressive, and the CERB went out very, very quickly once the application dates were opened. And I heard constituents phoning and telling me we applied one day and within 72 hours we had the money. So that's wonderful. Our $1,000 from the province is tied to the CERB. So if you're getting CERB, C-E-R-B, from the federal government, then you can go on the website, BC website, COVID-19, and you can actually apply and you will be sent the money in the same way as you receive your CERB. However, if you're on EI, then at this moment you do not get it. But when your EI runs out, and if it runs out before December, then you can apply for the $1,000. And this was the fastest way to get the money out to people without going through too many hoops. And that $1,000, by the way, is non-taxable. And it is there to help you with extraordinary expenses that you do acquire during this time. So that benefit will help people. And once again, if you're not sure of any benefits, go to the two websites, BC Gov COVID-19 and the Canada Gov COVID-19. And if that doesn't give you the information you need, please feel free to phone your own MLA, or you can phone our office here if you live in Surrey Panorama, but also feel free to connect with your MP. The MP for Surrey Newton in this area is Sukh Dhaliwal, and I know that his office is very quick at getting back to people as well. And on the Panorama side, please feel free to contact your MP as well. Oh, here is a good question that has just come in. And thank you. Some of these questions came in earlier, but this one has just arrived via email now. And this is one where someone is asking, when can they open up their stores? This is a businessman in our community. And BC never actually went down on a total lockdown. We did shut down services like hairdressers, spas, barber shops, all the sort of personal service type activities were shut down. And but emergency supply chain kept open. But a lot of stores, restaurants were shut. But a lot of restaurants kept open by doing delivery. Now, as they begin to make a plan for opening, they've got to submit a plan and work with WCB and their own groups and make sure that they're observing the new rules of social distancing and all of that. And they can open when they have plans in place, but not yet. Not yet. Only when phase 2 starts. And we're going to wait for Dr. Henry to tell us when phase 2 is going to start. As she said today, we think middle of May, but let's not jump the gun. In a similar way for our clothing stores, right here in Surrey, we have quite a few small businesses. Once again, you've got to make a plan. Your plan has to ensure that people who are coming in are safe and the workers who work in your business are safe. And once you've got that done, then what you can do is open up your store as well. And if you need help to develop a plan, WCB is available. And you can go on the website. They've had a webinar and they've got other supports available as well. Once again, to the business community, if you need support guiding you through the different supports available and on how you can get ready to open, please feel free to phone your MLA or your MP office, our office, and we will make sure you get connected to the people you need to be talking to. Okay, I have a question here right now, and I'm going to have to put on. Okay, the question is, some healthcare aides are being asked to work on one site only, and when they are part-time, they lose hours and money. Some are only working half-time now. Can they be eligible as they are not on SERB? I'm going to, excuse me. I'm going to have to get back to you, Aranjeet, with a more fulsome answer. But my understanding was that when they went to one site, the site was doing everything because there was a reassignment of people, that they're doing their best to make sure that they are full-time. But if we have instances like that, please, we will get back to you. And I will make sure that on Facebook we do post a more fulsome answer. But I really appreciate the work that Adrian Dix has done on this area. My mother was in long-term care home for a few months, 16 months. And I know how hard those care aides work. And I know right now, under the current circumstances, they are the front line. And when there are no visitors to visit our seniors, they are the lifeline. And I certainly appreciated when my mum was in there, getting those video calls and doing FaceTime with her. That was arranged by the long-term care aides. So thank you to them. And I will do a special shout out to Laurel Place. My mum passed away 4 weeks ago. And I want to thank Laurel Place for the amazing support they gave her and to us, and the care that they give. And you guys are my heroes. And I really want to say that Adrian Dix is fully on this. He reported today how many more facilities are now single site workers only, because we know that's the best way to provide support for seniors and to stop the disease from spreading. Okay, we have a question from Aman Sharma. He wants to hear a little bit more about Translink Funding, so we can stop the layoffs that have occurred. Let me tell you that both Minister Robinson and Parliamentary Secretary Bowen Ma are working on this project. It's not an easy one. I know the Premier is in contact with the federal government as well, looking for resources. And our biggest challenge is going to be, as we move into phase 2 and phase 3, how do we make people feel comfortable enough to get back into using public transit? So there are going to be many challenges, and I know this impacts many lives, but right now there are too many unknowns. There are plans being worked on, but we are waiting for the federal government as well, and we're working closely with them. I know the Premier has shared publicly that we are very cognizant of the needs of Translink, and it's not just Translink. When you look at it, whether it's small businessmen, whether it's NGOs, whether it's support service agencies like Options and PICS and Success, whether it's the grocery stores, or the grocery stores I think are still doing fine, whether it's the clothing stores that or the spas or the personal care stores, boutiques and then spas, everybody is in the same boat. This is a worldwide pandemic, and it's impacting every aspect of our life. And Aman, let me assure you that we are very cognizant of that, and there is work being done in this area. You see, as you age, you need your glasses more and more. And once again, we will update you and make sure and we will update you and make sure that we provide you with the updated information as we get it. I'll do a shout out to Balraj. Balraj, good to know that you are watching. And Balraj worked in this office for a while and did an amazing job. And I think my daughter has tuned in, Karen, just because maybe this is the only way she gets to see mom besides when we do a little bit of FaceTime. And Karen has gone back to work after having had to be off at the beginning. And but the little one, Aliyah, is still at home. So here is another question that has come up, and Jen is passing it to me. It's about camping. You know, I grew up in England, as many of you know, and when we moved over here, we made Nanaimo our home. And until the year 2000, I lived in Nanaimo. And my kids grew up camping and fishing and skiing and in the outdoors. And I know that with a May long weekend coming up, this is the weekend that you would pack up and you would head out. This was the official start off to the camping season. Folks, this year, it's going to have to be different. This year, explore your own neighborhood. Try not to travel too far. I know if it's an emergency, you have to go, you have to go. But let's try to stay in our own communities. And even though the provincial parks will be opened during phase 2, they will only be opened for daytime. But remember, it's social distancing. And please, please make sure that you do social distance when you do go out. No camping dates have been determined yet. So once again, daytime only, but only after Dr. Henry okays it. That okay has not been given yet. We're not into phase 2. So for all the campers and for my own son and my grandchildren as well, camping will have to wait this year. As we said, this is not a normal year. This is a year where we're doing so many things differently. Maybe we'll have to do some virtual camping. And I'm thinking about this now, that maybe Aliyah needs to set up a tent in the backyard and then crawl into that tent to find out what camping is like. But if you do have a cottage and you're dying to get to it, once again, we're really going to urge you to hold off and not do that yet, because there are so many things to do. And come June, there may be. Let's hope so, if we're all good, because that's what Dr. Henry says. It's when we behave and we're good that maybe by June there might be a little bit of overnight camping in specific areas. But we have to wait and see. You know, one of the things is we've had so many weeks, days and days, weeks and weeks, when we've been self-isolating, social distancing. We haven't seen friends, family members. And then when the framework gets announced, we want everything to be back to the way it was pre-COVID. Well, as Dr. Henry said, it's not going to be pre-COVID for a long time, and until there is a vaccine or a cure. But we are going to be able to move forward in stages. But those stages is not suddenly in phase 2, you start meeting up with everybody. That's where you individually, for each family, you have to make a determination. Do you have a senior in the house? Do you have somebody whose immune system is compromised? Do you have someone who has other issues, health issues, that could get in the way? In that case, I might carry on in phase 1 for a lot longer still. But however, if you're healthy and you've got another family nearby that you are quite close to, you might decide to double your bubble, right? That's what they're doing in New Zealand, doubling the bubble. But doubling the bubble doesn't mean you double it every single day and with a different group each day. You have to be very selective about who you invite into your world, this little cocoon that you're in right now. And what you have to remember, that every person you invite to be part of your bubble, your cocoon, you're inviting everybody else that they are in contact with. So for the next little while, folks, we're going to have to look at this a little bit differently. we're going to have to make sure that we're keeping ourselves safe, but we're also keeping others safe. Here's a question about grad. I know because I helped to organize many a grad in Nanaimo. I know how many of you are thinking, why did it happen to be in my grade 12 year? I want my grad. And I heard the Premier say yesterday, you may have to wait for your celebration of grad until we're out of this pandemic. But in the meantime, let's all get creative to see if we can do grad creatively, if we can do it virtually. One thing I discovered, and I discovered this after my mom passed away, and we had siblings who are not here, we had family members all over, that Zoom conferencing became sort of a great relief, where you could actually talk with people and hear their grief and share your grief with them. So in many ways, in these happy times too, we're going to have to turn to technology, turn to Zoom and many of the other technologies that exist out there that help us to connect. So grads, I feel terrible. But when you look at it, nothing is the same. Right now, world over, there seems to be a lockdown or emergency of one form or another. This virus knows no geographical or political boundaries. It's at every continent. It is around the world. And the whole world, and I want to reassure all of you, huge sums of money, scientists from world over are working together to get to a cure. And they're going to find one. Until they do, we have to do what we have been doing, which is protect our bubble. Protect your bubble. Protect your cocoon. Wash your hands. Wash your hands often. Cough into your sleeve. Social distancing from each other when you have to go out. And remember, when you go out and you come back into the house, take those additional precautions. Use the sanitizer as much as you can. Keep some in your car. Because, folks, as we lift and move into the next phase, what we do not need is a new spike. Because with that spike, it means we will be back down to phase 1 again. But the other thing it means, quite honestly, is all those people who've been waiting for their surgeries. And, we call them elective surgeries. They're not really elective. They're life-changing for people and life-saving. Then those surgeries can go on. And I know Minister Dix is working round the clock with his whole team to expedite those as quickly as they can, and they've started to do that planning. But all that planning will be for naught if we are not careful and we are not keeping the curve flat. I see quite a few teachers have joined on. The Vice President for Surrey has just signed on. Jatinder, hello, how are you doing? I know you're being kept super busy. Sometimes I've heard people say to me, they know I'm a teacher. Teachers have it easy right now. They don't have to work very much. Let me tell you all, and I know because I am a teacher, the teachers are working longer hours and are having to be far more creative and work online with the limited resources they have, and sometimes without all the technology support they need as well. And I also want to thank the Surrey Teachers Association for the amazing job of advocacy you are doing and working with the school district to make sure that there is a safe opening for both students and for everybody who works in the system. And Marcy is on the line as well. Marcy is the president of CUPE here in Surrey, and for the CUPE workers who work in the school district. Huge shout out to you and all of you. It's not just teachers who keep our schools going, it's all our support staff, our EAs, our education assistants, our staff who keep our buildings beautifully clean. And let me assure you, you're more essential than ever right now, because it's going to become imperative that we up our hygiene in our schools and make sure that everybody is safe. So big shout out to all the educational workers. I can't leave out the principals and vice principals because I know how incredibly hard they're working during this time. So thank you to all of you as well. Well, questions are coming in, and some of them I will say are very, very specific, and we are making a note of them, so we will connect with you, because specific questions I don't really want to get into discussing here. The general ones I don't mind responding to. And as I said before, very difficult times for all of us. We're learning how to celebrate differently, the key moments in our lives. We're learning how to say goodbye differently. We're learning how to grieve differently. But one thing that gives all of us strength is we're doing it together with love and support. And one thing I've learned from Dr. Henry is, let's not sit in judgment on others. Let's not say he should be doing that, she should be doing that. Let's instead focus on what we can do, what I can be doing, and then try to understand that the other person may be going through some difficulties, may be having some challenges that we're not aware of, because that's what happens. And this COVID crisis, the pandemic, is going to bring out all kinds of hidden issues for people. And kids, if you need to talk, yes, there is a helpline for kids where you can talk. Parents, help to guide the kids to that talk line. There are also ambassadors here, South Asian mental health ambassadors in Surrey, who are there to support you. The Canadian Mental Health Association, as well as the BC, have got wonderful resources on their websites. Watch a good movie. And one thing you're probably thinking, you know, as a teacher, why am I saying this? Don't listen to and watch the news all the time. Do something fun. Watch a comedy. Play a game. I found myself playing Monopoly the other day, and even Connect 4. So play a few different types of games, interactive games, because if you watch the news all the time, one, there's a lot of repetition. Two, it can actually get you into quite a slump. And right now we need to do little things that pull us out of slumps, make us laugh, make us smile. And laughter is very important. I only look for comedies right now. And I just had a note passed to me that I didn't read. And it got snacked away. And that's, yeah. And, we would welcome pictures and stories from you of how you're managing, the fun things you're doing. Send us a video clip if you're willing to share it. And we would love to have that. And if you would like to sign on to our newsletter, phone our office. The phone number I will share with you before we end. And or you can email us. Very easy to find me on the website. Through social media, Ginny Sims. And you can use Messenger, you can Facebook message me, you can WhatsApp message me. But if you would like to get onto our email list to make sure you're getting regular updates, to be on our WhatsApp list, please just connect with us, and we would love to add you to our list. But we want to hear from you. I want to hear from you what challenges you faced. I want to hear from you how you've overcome those challenges. What is it that makes you smile? And there is nothing like sharing those good stories that will impact our mental health. Nothing better than that. So let's do that more and more. And we have a question coming in. And, I'm hearing about this, as I said, I'm hearing a lot from landlords, because there is an eviction ban in place during this emergency. Yes, it's there for a reason. It's to protect all of us. And at the same time, if you already had an eviction order, that is in effect once the eviction ban is over. And this is not forever. This is during this phase, and there will be more information coming out. But let me once again say, please pay your rent. If you can, pay your rent. If you need a little bit of extra assistance, we can provide it. There is support available from the provincial government. Apply for that support. that support will go directly to the landlord. I have a question here now, sort of saying there's 6 of us living in a 2-bedroomed basement. Do we all get the $300 each, or do we just get one? Well, there's 5 of you living there, 6 of you living there, but you're living in 1 unit, and the rent rebate is per unit, and it will go to the landlord. Okay, here we go. So I've got a question here that people of all faiths are going through some major challenges, and I really want to do a huge shout out to the faith community. I participated in some Zoom meetings with you, and they've been amazing. But to say, yes, these are challenging times, but I don't remember in my lifetime when we've had the Vatican, Mecca, the Golden Temple, Harmandir Sahib, and main religious centers empty, so to speak. And it's because we all realize the impact of this virus, and we're all trying to control that. Vaisakhi this year was not celebrated in the normal way. Normally in Surrey, there's about 400,000 people out on the streets, and it's an amazing experience. This year there was virtual Vaisakhi, and the Sikh community is finding ways to give right across the board, whether it's meals or food, uncooked food delivered to people's homes, groceries. And I really want to say that I have a lot of respect for all faith communities. And right now we have our Muslim brothers and sisters going through Ramadan, when they fast from sunrise till sunset. And they're doing it through this very difficult time when they cannot even gather for prayer or to break the fast and have iftar together. And let me tell you, my heart goes out to you, but I know that you realize this is what we have to do right now. And I appreciate the sincerity and how thorough you are being. So while we reflect on the suffering of others, while we reflect on what others have to do without during this time of fasting, let us also right now commit, as Muslims do, to helping others during this time and even after. So big thank you to the Muslim community. My heart is with you, and I know how heartbreaking it must be when you can't be with your mom, your brothers and sisters, your friends, or the large gatherings in restaurants to break the bread together, so to speak, to have iftar, to say your prayer, and then to eat together. A great unifying activity, and then to start the fast again the next morning. So thank you. And I do know that right now there are limits for how many people can go into a religious place. I know when we went into the Gurdwara for my mum's post funeral ceremony, there were 10 of us there, and we were socially, physically distanced apart. And people can go in now to do their prayer, but in a very controlled way. Now, some religious institutions did shut down, and they are doing virtual services. Once again, this is across communities, across religions, across ethnicities, and around the world, people are finding ways to work together and to support each other. So big thank you. And a question has just come in right now as well, and that question is, what about flights that are coming in from India? First of all, a big thank you to everyone who has worked so hard. I know that a whole lot of staff had to be targeted to work just on this area, and I've talked to many who tell me they went from doing their own job to becoming travel agents. Canada had hundreds of thousands of people overseas at the outset of this pandemic. And even today, I would say we probably have over 100,000 people overseas. Not everyone wants to come back. Now, our challenge is that international flights are stopped, borders are closed. And right now, flights are coming in from India, 2 or 3 a day, and some from Amritsar, some from Delhi, some from Mumbai, some from other cities. And but you have to register online. Make sure you are registered. Then you will be contacted to ask to offer you a seat on a flight. These have been difficult times for family here who have been separated from their loved ones, either parents or kids or families sort of split in two. But let me tell you that lots of work is being done, and I want to do a shout out to the federal government for the work they've done, and to community people who have worked so hard. And when you come in from overseas, we tell you even before you get on a plane, first of all, you have to be healthy to get on a plane. But when you get here, guess what? You have to quarantine. It's not an option. It's not if you have signs of COVID. Every single person who comes in at the border has to quarantine, except for our emergency workers. So if you're coming in from India or you're coming in from England, you come into YVR, you have to have a plan that shows how you can self-isolate for 14 days. If you do not have a plan, then you're taken to a hotel till you develop a plan. And self-isolate doesn't mean you come home and everybody comes to visit you. And it doesn't mean that you come home and you're suddenly mixing with 5, 10, 11 other people. It literally means self-isolation in the house as well, away from others. So quarantine is in place for everybody who is coming in. Everybody is being screened, and this is all really good. But there are still some of you who are in India. I get phone calls from you on a daily basis, and Consular Affairs from the High Commissioner in India sends out nightly emails giving everybody updates. And I know more flights have been arranged or are being arranged. There are some of you who've chosen not to travel back yet because you feel safer there in your own house where you've got everything than you do getting on a plane. That is your choice. But for those of you who are wanting to come back, please make sure, A, you're registered, B, if you have health issues, make sure that you've informed, you filled out your form and that information is there, because priority is being given to those with health issues and for women and children as well, and seniors. Okay. You know what? As you can see, my hair has grown quite a bit during this, and one of the questions we're getting a lot today, when can I get my hair done? When we get to phase 2, and only if hairdressers have time to cut your hair. Because let me tell you, it will not be back to normal. It will not be back to normal. Social distancing will have to be practiced. And each hairdresser is going to have to make a determination how and when to open. But if a hairdresser needs support, that support is available through WCB, but also a group of representatives for the hairdressing profession have been working on developing a plan for how to open. So absolutely, it is there in phase 2, but what date it will be, we don't know yet, because once again, there are too many questions yet. There are too many questions and we don't have all the answers. But be assured it is in phase 2, but it will depend on your hairdresser, and I'm sure every hairdresser is going to be overbooked and we'll all be fighting for an appointment with a hairdresser. The same goes for your nails, and I'm beginning to feel I have talons right now, and so once again in phase 2, but once again a plan has to be developed by each salon, and once that plan meets the criteria, then they can open. Remember, safety, safety, safety. It's not about hair and nails, though there are days when we think it's only about hair and nails for some, but it's not about hair and nails. It is about safety first. It's about your safety. It's about the safety of your family. It's about the safety of the hairdresser, the safety of the hairdresser's family, and it's the safety of our communities. And remember that Halsa shampoo advert, and some of you who are older like me, you will remember that Halsa shampoo advert where this beautiful young woman washes her hair with shampoo, and then she shares it with a friend, and she shares it with a friend, and before you know it, the whole screen is filled up. That is not what we want. That is not what we want. So our goal right now is to keep social distancing, wash your hands, and make sure you take all the precautions. And as you go into phase 2, only when Dr. Henry okays it, when you go into phase 2, remember, grow your circle, double your bubble, as they would say. And Dr. Henry also has another saying that, let me make sure I get it right, few faces, big spaces. In other words, it is not back to normal. Just because we're going to get some of our routines back in phase 2, some of the activities back, does not mean those activities will occur the same way as they did pre-COVID, right? And so I can see that quite a few of you are still on. So we haven't had as many questions as I thought we would receive. Lots of individual ones, but we will get all of that information to you. I also want to do a shout out while I'm on here to the Kwaran Gurdwara, because they're doing hundreds and hundreds of meals every night that are prepared, that are packaged, and that are then delivered or picked up. That kind of service is great. And the same to the Fiji Muslim Center. They have made an awesome donation to the Surrey Food Bank just last week. And I also know that they are also preparing food. And so a shout out to the leadership of our brother Asim Akhtar Khan. Thank you, Asim. You've been doing an amazing job reaching out to people and providing much needed sustenance and support for many families. And to all of you who are looking for where you could donate, where it could make a difference, please, I'm going to encourage you to make a donation to the Surrey Food Bank and to the Muslim Food Bank as well. The Surrey Food Bank, the links are on my Facebook. You can go there and go there directly, but make a donation. And to many of our business community who are watching, I hope, I challenge all of us to make a donation. When I was talking to the Surrey Food Bank, they told me that they're short on baby food. We don't want to think of children going hungry during these times, so please make a donation. They told me that food for seniors, canned food is another thing that they are short on. But you know, money is always welcome because then they can go and shop. And you need to know that the money you donate to Surrey Food Bank actually goes into buying food, that goes into supporting families who live in this area. And it's a wonderful way to do our little part. I love to cook, and but I don't have the capacity to have dinner parties right now. But I do have the capacity to make some meals and drop them off to some seniors. So there are different ways we can help right now. And I'm going to appeal to all of you to do that. And I know that and for seniors, there are all kinds of supports available. And I would encourage you to, Seniors 211 is the number you can call. And for university students, you have a dedicated 24/7 line as well to help you during this period with any questions you have, specifically if you're feeling a little bit disturbed. Kids, there are special talk lines that you can do. And as I said, please share pics and stories with us. And if you know of volunteers who are doing great things in the community, please send us their names and contact information, because I would love to recognize them, give them a certificate, and when this is over, maybe have an event for them so that we can get to celebrate the great things that are happening. Uplifting stories are always good, but if you need to phone and make an appointment to talk virtually, 778-593-2262. 778-593-2262. So I've been asked a question just now when I looked at the computer: when is eviction ban getting over? Once again, we're in new territory, and I am sure that that's something that BC Housing and everybody is looking at, and we will continue to monitor that, and when we have that information, we will get back to you. And once again, thank you so much for tuning in and for your lovely messages, your hearts, your laughs, your tears, your grrrs, and all of it are welcome. And it's just good to have this interaction going on right now. We only have a couple of minutes left. And once again, let me tell you that next week on Tuesday evening, we are going to do a bedtime story. I'm going to read one of my all-time favorite books that my kids have grown up with, and many kids have grown up with. So I'm not going to tell you the title yet, but on Tuesday night, please join us for our story. I hope you will encourage your children to join us as well, and you're going to love the story. It has a huge message behind it, but it's a fun story that the whole family can enjoy. But in the meantime, this is Ginny Sims. Thank you so much for sharing your precious time with me, and you can reach me very easily. You all know how. Thank you so much.